So, Heather Dee Perry, before the stage name, the brand, the mythology, there's a real person. And that story is the foundation of everything. So I have a question. How would you describe yourself to someone meeting you for the first time?
Someone meeting me for the first time. Well, I would say good luck. Best of luck. And I would hope that someone would be open enough to feel how I communicate, first and foremost. My brain works in very, very, very multi-dimensions, and someone once told me recently, and for the first time in my life, you are an anomaly. And I had to look up the definition so that I was correct about this. And yes, I would say so. Very enigmatic, and yes, definitely a puzzle.
What parts of your life shaped the artist you became today?
I came to the planet as a very high frequency mediator, and mediating in a low frequency visual to extend what I have to mediate into a higher realm. Where I feel like everything shaped me, it definitely started as a young child, growing up in a place called Stafford County, Virginia, and a very rural area, very rural lifestyle, and very woodsy, connected to a lot of animals and insects and skies and water and rivers and things that, you know, a lot of people are kind of, not everybody, but a lot of people miss on their daily now, as to where that was like a daily life for a lot of the children where I'm from. And, you know, just obviously we didn't have cell phones or high technology or anything like that, but we definitely were outside a lot. And I grew up taking a lot of dance classes and voice lessons and a lot of sports. And, you know, my parents were very involved in putting me into these extracurricular activities to enforce some kind of foundation and balance and, you know, strength in what my body can handle and what my emotions can handle and things like that. With music and dance go along, and visual and things. So it was really important to me. That part was very important to me and still is, always will be, the foundation. And then coming through those years, they always had just enough money to get everything that we needed. You know, they definitely supported me with the things that I needed to get the foundation and everything to make sure that I'm growing into what I am supposed to be. And most of the time I had to make sure that I got a lot of scholarships, which I did. It was not through school scholarships because my comprehension level was quite different than what they were teaching in school. So I knew my brain is activated in a different format. And a lot of people, I'm sure around me, knew that I was quite different. I was very quiet. And getting through scholarships, I knew that I had to do that if I was going to get anywhere. So I made sure of that. And my mom and dad made sure that I was going to get them. And they instilled it in me, you know, get it, make sure you get these things. You have to get these things. They pushed me very, very hard and really secured a good future for me. So that really shaped me in my younger years. And then, you know, I left home 5 days after high school graduation and, you know, ended up working on cruise ships for 3 years and was able to come from a very rural place where I had a 2-log wood stove till 7 for heating and a 6-log wood stove after that, to a very amazing 2 contract cruises within 3 years, 80 countries over 10 times, experienced a globe right after communism came out. And those things were dear to me, and that shaped me. And then after that, I came to Broadway and did some Broadway stuff. And then I did Japan, and I did modeling, and I did a lot of those kind of, you know, things. It was a lot of entertainment, but it was also global traveling, extensive traveling. And, it just kept going. I've got amazing things that I performed with. And the structure has always been, to be able to mediate what I want to mediate and hit people from a lower frequency and bring them up into a higher realm.
She's an enigma, guys. When did you first realize performance or creativity was part of your identity?
Well, the identity and the creativity, it was always there. Always. I already knew the purpose coming out. I mean, I was a breech child, feet first. I already knew that I was coming out full force. And, anyone that knew me and knows me, I have always been a dancer, into singing, into entertainment. They always knew I was artistic. I was always just involved in those kind of activities and those kind of playouts, performances, And it's something that I do identify as a meaningful mediation. It's not just about dancing, and it's not just about singing or using your voice vocally, but it really is a mediation from the divinity. So to use your body in that way and to use your soul and to touch people with visuals or your voice or anything like that, or your lyrics, or is something that can be and used for movement around the globe. And I've always known that that's who I am and part of the most major part of my purpose in this mission that I was brought here for.
So we have one more question, and that is, what does this podcast let you share that other platforms haven't so far?
Well, I feel that Wavelength podcast is something that when we speak about frequencies, or when I speak about frequencies, or when anyone speaks about frequencies, it's a wavelength. And I feel Wavelength podcast genuinely allows me to elevate into the frequency that I am comfortable with and how I communicate with myself personally. Yes, it's very strange and odd and peculiar, but at the same time, I would love to be able to speak into a community of the globe that has access to this podcast on Spotify and reach people that potentially will elevate into the frequency or already understands the telepathic waves. So in the Wavelength podcast, this is something for me personally, because I'm able to speak about things how I feel or how I view things, not right or wrong. It's all the unknown. It's something from a perspective, a global perspective of seeing so many people around the world, because I've met so many people around this world and from all different cultures, from all different backgrounds, from, the extreme poverty to extreme wealth. And I've sat with many different people on many different levels. And to communicate is something extremely important and vital. And this particular podcast, it's like a threshold. It's leveling up and allowing people to listen to you in an elevated state. This is a very vulnerable moment for me, because obviously I have not been online like that verbally. And a lot of people that know me from the past may not understand where I am in my own realm. And this would give an opportunity for them, like myself, an opportunity for them to participate in what they're thinking about and thoughts, with the comments and things like that. Those are very important to me, because I do read comments and I do enjoy connecting with humanity on a like-minded wavelength.